Good morning, all. Welcome. Great to see everybody on this 6th of July, following up the 4th of July. Thanks to Menla and Dory for getting me going and coordinating everything here. And thanks to all of you for being here with us. Thought I might start off, actually, Lama had written something, Lama Surya, on yesterday, but sort of in the spirit of the 4th, that thought I would read. You may have seen in other places here, but he says, "Happy campers, friends, pets, and family. Today is His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama's 90th birthday. May he live long and strong. Since 1959, he lives in exile from Tibet and Dharamsala, North India, following on the heels of our American Interdependence Day, July 4th. It's a very good and auspicious time to reflect upon and appreciate the virtues and blessings of life and liberation, freedom, outer and inner, interdependence, do good, compassionate, and generous deeds, and ultimately reaching autonomy within interdependence. May it be so. May all beings be happy, well, and fulfilled. May there be peace and love in the world. Imaho." Mama Surya. I know, I'm not sure where you live, but here, certainly my cats will be glad for fireworks to be over. So there's that. I'm sure dogs too, those of you with the dogs around. Fun to look at, but a little distressing for the pets. But all right, go ahead and ring a bell. We'll say a little prayer and get rolling, see what happens today. May all beings possess happiness and the inner causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the inner causes of suffering. May all beings remain undivided from the sacred joy which is free from suffering. May all beings come to rest in great peace and equanimity, beyond attachment and aversion to friends, enemies, or strangers. So we can just settle in, start to settle. Just taking it easy here. A relaxing, effortless little Sunday sit here, or whatever position works best for you. There are all kinds of so-called warm-ups, preliminaries. Of course, these preliminaries and warm-ups, if you read advice on these types of things, folks are always clear to point out that they'll take you all the way there, whatever there is. Not meant to be sort of like overly beginner or something like that in the sense of warm-up. But one that I really like to do to just sort of maybe wake up the intentions for my practice and my intentions in general, and feel free to join me if you'd like, is maybe just pause and kind of pop the question, what is it that I really want or need? What is it that I most want? And maybe something really specific comes to mind. Maybe there's something disruptive or some specific health issue you're facing, you're hoping will go well, something like that. Maybe it's more general. Maybe you are wanting a feeling or to be safe, to be free, to be understood. It can be different things that pop to mind. And then maybe ask yourself if it isn't the case that you would like everyone to have what it is you want for yourself. Whether friend or supposed foe, known or unknown. And at least for me, I kind of like to start with this line because if I just kind of jump into wishing everybody well, sometimes my inner fraud detector goes off. I think to myself, there's got to be some selfish angle there, right? So I actually like to start with the more self-focused angle and then see if it isn't the case that I also wish that, right? We don't have to exclude ourselves. We should wish well for ourselves and others, right? We don't have to exclude ourselves in this cultivating of compassion and well-wishing, kind of creating this energy before we get into, any sort of more formal practice. So we're just kind of warming up, doing the preliminaries, intention setting. A lot of my things that I've stolen and modified from other people on my path, they kind of help me find the back door around the ego or the inner defense attorney, inner prosecutor maybe is more like it, trying to find some fault, misguided intention with the practice. But I think it's worth reflecting that it does seem to be the case that we would individually be better off if everyone had everything they wanted and needed, right? If all were supported in the way that they most wanted and needed, that would actually be to our benefit as well. So including all in our wish that everyone, all beings, seen and unseen, known and unknown, human and otherwise, so I'd like to start off with that one. Another one that I like, that feel free to join me if you find it helpful, is a bit of a preliminary warm-up type of activity, is you might want to bring to mind some aspect, virtue, quality that you wish you had to support you, some type of support you wish you had. Maybe it's wisdom, maybe it's compassion, maybe it's seeing things clearly, who knows? Whatever comes to your mind, something that you feel like maybe you could use some help with. And then imagine someone or some entity, it could be a person, living or otherwise, it could be a deity, an archetype, that embodies that virtue, that quality. Bring that to mind, literally visualizing, seeing that, however that looks to you, is to you. And just receive whatever it is that you want from whatever you've conjured, whatever you've brought to mind. I don't want to steer anybody in any way, but I often like to think of Tara in this practice. I'll literally picture Tara in front of me, seeing clearly, connecting, really feeling into that. And I often like just a simple, may I see things as you see things. And just feeling into whatever pops up. Hopefully you find you receive what it is you need. It may be worth reflecting on both of these, that it kind of has the appearance of drawing something from without us. But the first one just kind of reminding us of that we really do have within us a sincere wish for all to be well. just kind of checking in and proving that to ourselves that is within us. That's not something we need to create. It's just something that we need to recognize, to allow itself to reveal, to kind of get out of our own way so that we can see it and experience that. And whatever kind of support we called upon, just recognizing that support is always available. It seems as if from maybe without, but is available at any moment, not just when we're setting aside these lovely hours on a Sunday or whatever we have going in our practice. Anytime we can really call on that. And it's already there, right? It's not really anything that it's as if it needs to be created or added, but it's already there. And sometimes just remembering all of the various virtues and aspects we have at our disposal that maybe we get a little bit forgetful about, right? We get locked up in a story of what we are and what we're not. It may not actually include everything that's helpful and supportive to us. So again, hopefully useful to you. I like it because it helps me get around my overthinking mind. It's sort of this back door. It's like I call it, it's like a sneaky way into reminding myself that these things are actually there. I like to start that way just to kind of create the right energy, the right positive, helpful intention, kind of the right mood. And from there, we can just settle into a non-meditation. So we don't need to do anything different. We don't need to change our breathing or our posture. But just really arriving, becoming very present to what's going on right in this moment. Maybe checking into the body to see what sensations just noticing your breath. No need to breathe any particular way or to have any particular posture, just bringing awareness, our attention to the in-breath, to the out-breath. If you'd like, with each out-breath, maybe just releasing, relaxing, allowing yourself to relax. And just noticing what's going on in the realm of thoughts and feelings. There's no need to block out thoughts or feelings or any type of experience, just tuning into what's there. There's no right or wrong way to feel or experience or to do this non-meditation. Just whatever arises, just simply recognizing it, bringing attention, awareness to it, including thoughts. In fact, just getting maybe used to allowing the thoughts to come and then allowing them to go without attaching or analyzing or adding on to them or blocking them out. Or even scolding ourselves if we feel like we're distracted or somehow not doing it right. You can't miss. Just letting yourself be, letting everything be. So at least for now, nothing to do, figure out, become, transform, modify in any way. Just allowing. Surrendering to the present moment, to what is. Resting. Just natural and at ease. Authentic, uncontrived, simple. Vividly present, really aware, awake, attentive. The opposite of sleepwalking or slipping into some habitual pattern. It's okay if we've got habitual patterns running, but just recognizing that, not missing it, not getting lost in that. And if at any point we do get distracted, just simply start fresh, just tune into what's going on, doing that as many times as needed. Just taking it one moment at a time, dynamic presence, one breath at a time, moment after moment. Allowing things to come and go, recognizing what comes and goes, seeing things clearly, experiencing things fully. And if you'd like, you can join me in a break, stretch, a drink. Scrolling through the gallery view of the different pages here, it always hits me at some point during these sessions. It is pretty incredible that we're all here together virtually, talking to a lot of folks about AI and how that might change things. And it reminds me of how I remember computers and the internet changing things, and to think it would go from where it was to this. It's pretty wild. Bringing with it helpful and unhelpful elements, but certainly I'm glad we're all here together and able to join in this way. So nice to practice together, all over. So whenever we're ready, we can get back to not meditating, not changing anything, just continuing on naturally, effortless, at ease, not straining. Just being very present, awake, and aware, and otherwise allowing things to be as they are. Resting, allowing. Sometimes I find it's maybe enough just to kind of remind myself to allow and to let go. Sometimes it helps maybe to identify if there's something that I'm finding particularly sticky or that I'm finding maybe I'm holding on a bit to, just seeing if I can release the grip of that a little bit. Sometimes we have stories of who we are or who we're not, or what we should be or what we should be doing or experiencing. Sometimes there are even maybe habits that can be helpful in some context, but can be sort of nice to let drop sometimes. It's like I've always got a bit of a glass half full spin, right? Which is not the worst thing maybe in the the world to have a glass half full, but also, at least for a bit, maybe just things are what they are, just experiencing them directly without trying to spin some story in my mind about why this is a good thing. Or if maybe you're more of a pessimist, maybe taking a break from focusing on the glass half empty, or just letting things be without the analyzing, without the categorizing, without the making it be something that's wanted or unwanted, without adding that layer to it. Whatever arises, just experiencing it fully without judging, categorizing, analyzing, transforming, just for a bit anyway. As we continue just to let things come and go, let things be, really recognizing awareness itself, just this direct experience, tuning into that, leaning on that. And maybe as opposed to the more analytical mind, the ego, to the usual habits and scripts we have, not getting rid of any of that, but steal a line from Andrew Holacek to transcend and include that, to get upstream maybe a little bit from that, and not to eliminate, not in conflict with these other maybe modes of being or other people we might, other entities we might let drive the car, other aspects of ourselves we might listen to. Can't remember Lama's exact line on this. I'll just paraphrase, but he said it's kind of like when you look at your inner experience, it's kind of like a kindergarten class with a bunch of people raising their hand wanting to speak. We get to decide who we call on. We don't have to answer it's okay, right? That's no problem that there's a bunch of hands up, but we don't have to answer all of them. And let them be. Just really bringing awareness to whatever arises, recognizing whatever arises and resting in that recognition. And if you'd like, join me in another stretch break, drink break. Breaking things up, keeping it fresh. Just natural body, natural breath, natural heart, mind. Any posture will do, any breathing will do, any thought and feeling will do. Just natural, at ease. Just continuing to allow ourselves to settle, to relax, allow ourselves to just be, to take a break from doing. Without getting too effortful. Sometimes it can be helpful to sharpen our awareness as we move along, just to keep us from getting too dull or too cozy in our experience, just to shake things up a little bit. Might want to see if it helps to pick an object, either to look at or to sense into, and just become really aware, really tune into that object. Sometimes it's easier visually, but maybe there's a sound, same idea, or a feeling, a sensation. Just becoming really aware, really present. And then when you're ready, just taking that experience, the energy of that, and just dropping the object and just taking on a bigger view, just keeping that level of attention, sort of a whole panoramic view, not just a view, but everything that you hear, everything the senses can take in, everything in the realm of thought and feeling, just bringing that vivid presence to that. open, spacious, clear, may notice a calmness, a stillness, a spaciousness, that aspect of our experience. May notice movement, activity, thought. And we might notice that which notices, awareness itself. This spaciousness, this movement, this awareness, inseparable, different aspects, not compartmentalized, not an either or, not in conflict. Again, without getting too effortful about it, sometimes it can be helpful at this stage just to pop the question, who or what is experiencing whatever I'm experiencing right now. And not trying to really analyze the answer, but just pop the question, see what comes up, including if nothing comes up, including if it just sort of creates maybe some sort of gap or disturbance in kind of the usual habit and process you have, whatever arises, just pop the question, let go, see what arises. Continuing to just be, to let things come and go. As we start to get a little bit closer to the end of our hour, sometimes helps to maybe prepare a bit for the transition, this transition to go from not meditating to not meditating, but to ending this time that we set aside and maybe just reflecting. There's really nothing in any of these instructions that's specific to meditation, right? Just letting things come and go, recognizing whatever arises as we head out and go on about our day. Certainly, we may choose to be a little more effortful than we've been for this hour. We might choose to do some things and to think and plan. That's nothing wrong with that. But we can bring an awareness to whatever it is we do, and we can tap into this practice to give us kind of the space to maybe decide which kindergartner we want to call on, so to speak, who we want to give the keys to the car. I've got a daughter learning to drive, so that one is coming to my mind a lot, that analogy today. So we'll see how well my practice holds up in those conditions. But whatever arises, just simply recognizing it, seeing things clearly. And again, going back even to the warm-ups, maybe just popping some questions to cultivate, remind us of our intentions, to be helpful, compassionate, to do good things, to do good, to support. And sometimes even maybe if we feel like we're lacking in certain qualities or aspects, remembering this kind of idea of calling forth someone or something that possesses that to support us, and maybe remembering that's always within us. But nothing here is specific to just quote unquote meditation time. It's one of the things I like about this practice. Carries on quite nicely. With that, we'll say a dedication, open it up for a little bit of Q&A, take it from there. May all beings everywhere, with whom we are inseparably interconnected, and who want and need the same as we do, may they be awakened, liberated, healed, fulfilled, safe, and free. May there be peace and harmony in this world, and an end to war and violence, poverty and hunger, inequality and oppression, greed and cruelty, pandemics, famine, droughts, earthquakes, all kinds of natural disasters. May all be free from fear, harm, danger, anxiety, and insecurity. May we better prepare ourselves for the natural calamities that beset us all. And may we all together complete the spiritual journey, one beloved community, one circle, one family, all the way home. Thank you all so much for being here for your practice. If anybody has a question, comment, either hop in the chat or raise a hand and we'll let you unmute. So great to see everybody here. Hope everybody had a good 4th, whatever that looks like your way. Before I forget, while we're waiting here, you can head to dzogchen.org to become a member, contribute. Those of you that are members know this. If not, the members library has a lot of cool resources, articles, all sorts of things on the website. So Lale's saying, tell us about how you further your study of meditation. A good question. Actually, speaking of the dzogchen.org resources, I remember I was going to an event years ago where we were going to have a chance to ask Lama Surya questions. And the question I was going to ask was more or less that, what more can I do? And there was an article or post or something, I don't remember quite, but he had 6 things to do. And I remember thinking, well, I do like 1.5 of those, so I've got some room to go. But, to maybe talk in general categories of things I try to do roughly daily. I try not to, got a bit of a perfectionist streak, so I try not to create too many I need to do this daily kind of things, because then I'll go a little bit overboard with that. But certainly I like to have some sort of meditation, but I like to reflect. So whether that's journaling or just even pausing to reflect into the day is kind of helpful for that, to just look back on how things went. I like to study a little bit every day. So usually for me, that means reading. I read a lot of Dzogchen-y type of stuff. Lots of good resources out there. Connecting with other people who practice is a huge part of how I've been able to further my own practice. I'm looking at Leslie on my screen here, and I remember we had a breakout session at a virtual retreat years ago, and I remember saying, the thing I can't quite figure out, and then she said, maybe because it's not something to figure out, right? Maybe because it's just something to allow. And just talking about our experience, talking about what we're doing and how our practice is working and what's working for us and struggles we're having, but connecting with community, connecting with others has been huge for me. It's probably been one of the more important additions, I'd say, of maybe the last 5 or 6 years for me, in terms I was kind of on a lone wolf path prior to that, which has its benefits, but connecting with others is a big piece of that. So that'd be kind of my high level answer to that. And maybe if I'd add one thing is the integration piece. So trying not to separate kind of my meditation practice from my life, or there's this aspect of my life and that aspect of my life, but they are already interconnected, but just treating them as if interconnected and not trying to compartmentalize and separate. And that also helps with maybe on days where I don't have much time for more of my formal practice, or I don't get to read anything. Every moment is part of the practice and part of the path. So we don't have to differentiate between the more formal and the less formal, or life, just regular life. So, which is easy to say, but not always so easy in practice. And I have to remind myself of that one and kind of work at that quite a bit. But great question. All right. With that, I say we call it quits. See you all.